Looking at these moments in time, it almost feels like a dream or someone else's life. Happy memories keeping people and places alive long after they're gone. I was so young, I hardly recognized myself.
I'm trying to record stuff and send home to parents so they can, because they don't understand anything. When I call home, I say, I like you. They say, you're crazy.
So this spot right here is where my life in Korea began, my life in Asia, and really my life as an adult. It was the furthest I'd ever been from the place I grew up, and I didn't realize it at the time, but my life would never be the same after this. This is where I was raised as a kid. Not long after leaving home to find my way in the world, fate sent me to the other side of the planet to grow into adulthood in a country and culture very different from the one I knew. These formative years are some of the best in my life, making enduring friendships, learning to use chopsticks, and developing a taste for spicy kimchi. From soldier to teacher, I'm heading back to the place where I found my identity and place in the world. It's a little bit warm out today, but I thought I would use some of my free time to go and revisit a place I haven't been in probably 20 or 22 years. I mean, it's been a while, a few decades at least. And this is the city of Wonju, which is just east of Seoul. So this place is called the Express Bus Terminal here in Gangnam, and it is where I used to always catch the bus to and from Seoul and any other city that I was living in or I wanted to visit while I was here in Korea. And this existed way before the KTX, the high-speed rail, so this really was the way to get around. The interior has changed quite a bit in the last couple decades. I mean, it's much nicer. This is kind of cool. They now have kiosks where you can buy tickets, and they have it in English as well. This didn't exist before, you just have to buy it from a counter. Actually super easy, just got my ticket from the machine and the bus leaves in about 10 minutes. So I should probably get over to the platform. My ticket says it's platform 25 and 26, so it's actually somewhere further that way. I'm still in awe of how nice the interior looks inside here. They've redone it probably several times in the last couple decades, but it looks fantastic, very clean, very modern, and again, so many more food options in here, so many restaurants and cafes, and the seating's even gotten better. While the KTX and the trains are faster and more efficient in most cases, sometimes the bus is not that far behind, and there are places where that's the only way to get to those small towns. And there's just so many of them. I mean, this bus leaves like every 10 minutes. The other thing about the buses are they're much, much cheaper than taking the train, so it's like half the cost, basically. Okay, well, my bus is here, so it's time for me to go out and get on it. The bus ride from Seoul to Wonju is only about an hour and a half, with large comfortable seats that recline for a quick nap. I personally enjoy watching the mountainous rural scenery flying by outside the large windows. Well, I just arrived here in Wonju, and this is the express bus terminal. And when I lived here over 2 decades ago, this was not here. They had a bus station, but it was tiny. This one, I don't know exactly when they built it. It's been here for a little while now, though, from what I've been told. Now, by no means is this a massive bus station like the one in Seoul, or even some of the other big cities in the country, but this is a huge improvement on the old one they had. The old bus station was actually a tiny building, 1 story, with kind of a parking lot with a tin roof over it, and there was maybe like enough space for maybe like 8 or 10 buses. Now that I finally got here though, it's time to actually go outside and check out some of the places that I remember from when I was a lot younger. So before they even had the bus station here, I used to come to this neighborhood because this was kind of known as the place with the nightclubs and the bars and the restaurants, especially the nightclubs. So I'm just going to kind of take a walk around and see if I can't find any of those places. They probably don't exist, or at least they probably changed ownership, so they'll have a new name or it's a new venue. But it's always fun to take a walk around neighborhoods that you kind of remember. One thing that I've noticed right away, and this is something that happens quite frequently when you leave Seoul or Busan or any of the other massive cities, is how quiet it is. There's actually about 300,000 people that live here, but in terms of Asian cities, that's pretty small. And at the time that I lived here, back around 2000, people in Seoul used to tell me that I lived out in the middle of nowhere, out in the sticks in the countryside. Right now I'm walking into this small park here, kind of in the middle of all this nightlife stuff and these restaurants and bars. I do remember this. I believe it's called Rose Park. And it was an area where after you were done clubbing at 2 or 3 in the morning, you might come out here and have a drink with your friends, or just hang out and make some new friends. Some people would come up and talk to you, and you would get sucked into a conversation with people wanting to know who you were or why you were here, especially if you were like me and you were a foreigner living in Korea at the time. There aren't quite as many expats out here as there are, again, in the bigger cities. It's kind of coming back to me now. Some of it is looking more and more familiar, but at the same time, it's been a while. It's so bright and sunny out. This is just kind of nice to hang out under these trees in the park. But I do remember some of the stuff, even some of the statues, and there are quite a few roses as well, which is where it gets its name from. I'm just still walking around a little bit in this park because it is kind of the central area with everything around it being the restaurants. And I'll be real honest, I don't recognize a lot of it, but that's what that much time away will do. So if you can see it right here, there's a spinning sign. It looks kind of like a barbershop sign, but that's actually to let you know that there's probably a brothel or prostitution nearby. And now I think I'm going to grab either a bus or taxi from here and go and check out a few other places in the city that I remember, including where I used to work. The bus schedule can be a bit more tricky and confusing when you're not in one of the bigger cities too. So I've been walking back and forth to several different stops, and I think I figured out which one I need to be at, but the buses also run less frequently. So I'm just gonna have to wait a couple minutes here. Yeah, I could just take a taxi, but where's the fun in that? All right, I got myself a seat on this bus in the very back, right underneath the AC, which feels really good, by the way. and I should be there in about 20 minutes. Wow, this is just too surreal. I am back at the place that I called home over 2 decades ago, and it's just, wow. I mean, this is the middle of nowhere too. There is nothing out here. But I found it, and I'm just gonna walk over. So a little bit more about my personal history here, and that is I was in the United States military from 1999 to 2003, and in 2001 I got a notice saying you have to report to Camp Long, South Korea in Wonju. I had never even left the US before that, so this was a huge shock to me. And something that I fully embraced. I was here for almost 2 years in the military, working at this tiny base, kind of in the middle of the country, away from all the bigger cities. And it really, it really changed my entire life. And the base is right over that fence there. And there's a massive wall with some construction, so I don't even know if I'm going to be able to look at it. If you look across the street over there, that's actually the Korean military base. So we were across from each other, one Korean base and then the US base here. Wow. And that's it. That building up there, I don't know if you can see it, but that was where I used to live. You kind of walk up a short hill here, and there were some barracks back there, and there was only a couple hundred of us. It's a tiny base. So what happened was the base actually shut down to the US, and they gave it back to the Korean government. So I don't even know what it is now, but I guess they're doing something. This base sat kind of outside the city of Wonju. So it does feel like you're kind of in the middle of nowhere. But it's interesting, again, to see all this construction. I guess they're trying to make it into something else. The area I used to work in was actually right over there. There was a motor pool with a bunch of military vehicles. My Humvee was one of those. I'm actually walking pretty far away from the city in the wrong direction, so I'm going to turn around. But I'm really glad that I did this, because who knows how much longer or if I'll ever come back here. Just relaxing at a cafe right across the street from the old base where I worked. So I just made a new best friend at the cafe here, and the owner was so sweet and nice, and the most lovely place in the world. So definitely if I'm back here in Wonju, I'm gonna see her again for sure, because she was so nice and friendly. And if you're here, you should stop by her cafe. So I'm probably going to be hopping on and off city buses here in Wonju for a little bit today, just because I want to try to see as many places as I can remember. Especially while I can remember, because the older I get, the less I feel like I remember things, you know. I'm getting kind of forgetful, and this video will really be a testament to my time here. I never made any videos, you know, because this was so long ago. I'm walking across this bridge right now, and I definitely remember coming over here because it's only about a 5-minute taxi or bus ride. And there's a river that runs along here behind me. I actually used to come here and go ice skating in the winter because it would get so cold the lake would freeze over, get a ton of snow, because you have mountains all around this area, which is why I think it's so pretty. So I'm just going to go down and walk by the water because who knows when I'm going to get here again. Back up on the bridge there, they have cranes on all 4 sides of it, and that is because it's like one of those really popular animals in Korea and Asia, and I think it's actually the official animal of the city of Wonju. In fact, I can see a whole bunch of them together right here in the river. This has been so wild. I did not expect to find this place again, but I did, and it's really amazing to see. I should probably get back on the bus though, because I don't have that much time here, just so I can go and I can see the downtown area, which will probably be the last bit that I check out, because that is a place that I do remember going quite a bit as a young person. Well, just waiting for the bus again, and this is one of the smallest little bus cubicles I've ever been in, with no real ETA on the next one coming by. So depending on how long I'm sitting here, I might actually get a taxi downtown then. Well, I got myself on another bus and headed downtown. I got on the wrong bus, I think, but on the positive side, I'm going to get more of a walking tour downtown here. So when you're going through Wonju, you'll see a lot of walls with barbed wire on top, and that's because there are a lot of very large Korean military bases in the city. But I like this one because it has murals on it. After getting lost just slightly, taking a wrong bus and having to turn around, I am now walking firmly toward the downtown. And this is an area that I used to come to go to bars and cafes. It's even where I learned, or it's where I had my first Korean lessons, because I made friends with some people and they took pity on me because I really couldn't get around very easily because I didn't know the language at all. So they took, you know, their time and tried to teach me at least the basics. I'm only about 5 minutes from kind of the start of the downtown that I knew, which is where the old train station was. I think they've now moved it further outside the city, but it used to be right here. And that sun is really harsh today, so it's not even that far of a walk, but I'm definitely starting to feel it because of the heat and the sun. These are some really old looking buildings, but again, typically around these train stations in smaller cities. I can imagine they'll probably end up tearing all these down in the near future and gentrifying the neighborhood. So I have arrived at what used to be the old train station down that way, but it's actually got construction going on right now. And then if you look across the street over that way, there are some hills that go up, and that's where the red light district was. Well, that was it over there. That's where I hopped on and off the train that would take me into Seoul from time to time. But I don't know what they're doing with it now. We'll see, I guess. I finally wised up and I just walked across the street because this side has shade and that side does not. But that's making this walk a lot easier. There is this charm and laid backness of this kind of older section of the city that, I don't know, maybe it's because I lived here so long ago. I'm just fascinated by it. It feels way more authentic than anything you're going to see in Seoul or Busan. I really love Hello Kitty and I want to like this shop that I'm walking by, but I'm kind of nervous because of the neighborhood it's in. It's not actually a cafe for kids, if you know what I mean. All right, now I'm headed toward kind of the newer part of downtown, and this one's got a lot more modern kind of shops. There's a really fancy tall building right there, and I'm not sure what it is, but it looks real nice. Probably wasn't there when I was here. Well, this intersection is kind of trendy. There's like 5 or 6 crosswalks, even though it's not a very big area. And there's a market right here. Let's walk down that. I didn't even remember they had this market, but now that I'm walking down it, I think I did come here a few times when I was living here. It's pretty cool. It's mostly outdoors, but I think there are some covered areas as well. Everybody's got their umbrellas up too because it is so hot. This is really nice. And not just because I can get out of the sun, because my face is definitely starting to burn. I may have to reapply my sunscreen soon. But yeah, this is all kind of an indoor market, or at least it's got the roof over it. And they're selling everything from shoes to vegetables, houseware goods, some shirts. It's really an interesting feeling because I don't recognize everything, and yet these streets are starting to feel really, really familiar, as if there's some kind of muscle memory inside of me that's like, I know this place, but I don't. It's so it's so interesting. Oh my gosh, I think I might be really close to some of my favorite spots in this entire city when I was living here. I think that's it actually, right over there. That is a cafe that I spent almost every night in while I lived here. And across the street from it was a bar called Postdocs, which clearly not there anymore. Well, neither place is still there. Yeah, this place has so many memories. This is where I actually learned to read and write Korean, and I had a woman who owned a cafe, and she would let us come up and we would hang out quite often, and she would sit there with the Korean newspaper trying to teach me how to read and write Korean, and would correct my pronunciation all the time. I'm still not that great at it, but it was such like a happy place for me in my memories living here. Because the rest of the time I was just a soldier, which I also have some good memories, but a lot of really hard memories as well, because always working and things weren't always pleasant. But yeah, I guess I found it, this street here. Which, by the way, this street is now a pedestrian only. But when I lived here, they had cars running through here. I think they recently blocked it off to make it kind of a people-only zone. This was amazing to come back and see, and I hope it's not the last time I'm ever here. Maybe I'll come back in another 20 years. But this place truly changed my life because before I came here, I never even thought about Asia. And now, you know, living in Korea and living in China and traveling all over, Asia really is my home, and it's a place that I keep coming back to. So yeah, I'm definitely a different person than I was when I grew up in rural America. And you know, it was for the better anyway. Okay, before I go, I just found this thing. And this was definitely not here when I was living here. This is really interesting. Well, I'm a huge fan of traditional Korean architecture, so I'm liking this a lot. And it seems to be free. I just walked right in. Oh, that's kind of cool. There's even a statue here that you can take your photograph with. Smile. That's a cool diorama. And here you get all this history. This is basically just like a public park here in the middle of downtown. And I really wish they had had this before because, again, I think this is something they did recently, but the way that they've put it together, it definitely looks like it had been here for centuries if you didn't know that already. It's such a lovely area. I'm really surprised there aren't more people here. I've only seen like maybe 5 people come in. To be fair, Wonju is not a massive city and not a lot of tourists, so. But yeah, I would come back here just for this. Or at the very least, I'd come to this park when I was visiting the city. I'm gonna end it here for real. I know I said that before, but then I saw this and I just had to come back here and take a look and share with you as well, because this is definitely something you should at least plan on walking around for a couple of minutes while you're in the city here. Ooh, that door is a little low. Anyway, stay safe, healthy, and happy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Thanks for joining me today. Life's a journey meant to be shared. Remember to always travel with an open heart and an open mind. Enjoy the ride and keep your eyes on the horizon for the next adventure. I'll see you out there.